Is this thing on? I think it's on. If it's on, then I have to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, your host for tonight's show,
It's me. Hello. It's time for our Thursday Ask Anything. We're going to come in, we're going to learn some real estate, we're going to do our thing. And this time on a Thursday, I don't have anything prepared. It's all about what you all are wanting to see. So, oh, hello, William. Hello, Rayanne. How are you doing? Hello, Perlita. Hello, Caroline and William and everybody. I'm so glad. Hey, this tiny ocean. I see you in my chat. I see you. I see you. So, if it's your first time here, hopefully it's not, but if it is, yay, welcome to the Madhouse. Today is an Ask Anything, which means you get to ask me, the real estate instructor, anything. I'll do any of the problems. You just need to tell me what it is that you need to know. Hey, Sapna. So I see you. I know there's a little bit of a delay, which is so weird for me. And you see, I did big hair, don't care today. But go ahead. If you've got questions, drop them in the chat. Hello, second William. I see both of my Williams here. So, Sapna, I see you with the first question, and I will do it for you. I will do it for you. You said, will I explain deeds? Now, my first question to you is when you say deeds, do you mean what is a deed? Or do you mean the different types of deeds, like those three major types of deeds that you tend to see? So let me know what you are asking. Are you saying, oh, that's Bill. Hi, Bill. I get to see your picture now on a big screen. Hey, Bill. So are you asking me the types of deeds or are you asking me what is a deed? Oh, thank you. Do. Let's see, I'm waiting. Y'all, if you look at the chat, you see we have a visitor. We'll see what happens. The different types of deeds. The different types of deeds. So, okay. We know that deeds are the instrument, they're the document that gets title from one person to another, from one entity to another. And in general, you can do that on a napkin as long as it meets all of the qualifications. But we know on the test, what they're going to ask you is the difference between a general warranty deed, a quit claim deed, for some states, a bargain and sale deed. Um, what did I miss? And a special warranty deed. I was like, what did I miss? What did I miss there? Right? Oh, thank you, Erica. Curl slash, I was too lazy to do anything and actually pull it up. It was just wet haired. Is it only me today? I mean, Seth is in the chat. We'll see if he can get out of the basement and come on camera. Seth, are you coming? He's running late, he says. He's in the basement. So, let's start with a general warranty deed. This is your strongest deed. It's the most protective deed. Because if we were in a poker game, or let's just say I loved you and I wanted to give you my house or let you buy my house, I could give you a piece of paper that says, hey, this is your house now. But wouldn't it be even better if I gave you a piece of paper that said, hey, I'm giving you the house. I promise that I own it. I promise that I have the right to give it to you. I promise there's not going to be like any really bad negative encumbrances on it. And if somebody comes and tries to say, I'm promising they're not going to, but if somebody tries and comes to say, no, this is actually my property, then I will fix it. I will make things right. I mean, if you have the choice between just, oh, you can have it and, oh, no, you can have it. It's good title. I actually own it and have this ability to give it to you and all of those other promises, what would you choose? I'm hoping the answer is general warranty deed. So that is a general warranty deed. It's the strongest because it comes up with all of these warranties and covenants, promises that says you are getting good title. Y'all are acting like he belongs out of the basement or something. I mean, I like him in the basement. He keeps the pests away. I'm just saying. Hey, Sarah. So, he's just late, y'all. He's just running late. Good job, Seth. Seth, is this really what you want to teach our soon to be agents to be ready for? Is this what you want to do? Better yet, I can talk about you and you can't do anything because you're not on screen with me. Oh, Sarah, you said the video I uploaded earlier, you got your study plan together. Awesome. I love that. I love it. That's what I was hoping for. All right, so we got our general warranty deed. Think of them as levels. Like if you got the best, then there's the maybe. It's still good, it's just not as good as the best. And that's your special warranty deed. And your special warranty deed, it is almost a general warranty deed, except it's all about time and ownership. It's this idea that with a special warranty deed, I'm saying I own it, I'm giving it to you. I don't think anybody else is going to come after it. However, I'm going to put a warrant, like a limit to that. That special warranty deed is special because it's got like this little condition to it, which is me saying to you, I own it, I'm giving it to you, and I promise that I didn't mess up the title. But the previous owner was Seth, basement dweller, and he's a little shady. I don't know if that's good title. So when I give you this deed, I promise that I didn't mess it up, and if somebody comes and says I messed it up, I'll fix that. But if it was Seth or the person that owned it before Seth, I can't help you with that. I'm not touching that. I have nothing to do with that. Does that make sense? So general warranty deed, I'm willing to protect it and the title and the interest and say it's good title no matter who says there's a problem. But a special warranty deed, I'm only covering the time I owned it. Then we've got a bargain and sale deed. Now, that's not used in every state, but if you're talking about bargain and sale deeds, it's a step below special warranty deed. Basically saying, look, I own it. I'm selling it to you. I mean, it's okay title. I'm not making any promises or warranties about it. Like, I'm just saying I gave it to you and I owned it and I could give it to you. And at the bottom of that pile, you got the quitclaim deed. And what the quitclaim deed says is, look, I'm not even saying I own it. All I'm saying is that I have some type of interest in the property, which is the problem. And whatever interest I have in the property, I'm giving it, I'm letting it go, I'm giving it to you, it's done. So if that doesn't make sense, maybe it would make more sense if we think of it as it would relate to a mechanic's lien. If I have work done in my house, maybe I have a fence put up, and I don't pay that contractor, whoever did the work, that person I did not pay can put a mechanic's lien on the property. Remember, a mechanic's lien is a specific lien. So it's a lien against the property, not against me. So if I sold you my property and that mechanic's lien was there and didn't get removed, that's now your mechanic's lien. That's now your problem, right? You said I'm very shady, Seth. You're shady. You're the one stuck in the basement. But that's you've got this house with the mechanic's lien, you buy it from me, I don't clear it, you've got the mechanic's lien problem now. But maybe I want to pay off that contractor. So I want this contractor to tell the world, hey, even though I put a lien on earlier, Candace has paid me, this house no longer owes me money. Well, then that's going to be a quitclaim deed. That quitclaim deed is going to say, hey, I no longer have any interest in Candace's property. So it's not even that you have to own it. Sometimes you'll see it in foreclosures. Sometimes you'll see it when people are trying to get rid of a spousal interest, like divorce or something like that. But a quitclaim deed just says, hands off. I think of it like hot potato. Nope, not mine anymore, not mine, it's yours, not my problem. Not saying it's good, not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it's yours. So that was a lot. General warranty deed. I'm covering everything. Best, strongest deed. Special warranty deed. I'll cover most things, but only the things that I did. Shady person Seth, anything he did, owner before me, can't touch that, right? Bargain and sale deed just means I own it and I'm giving it to you. I'm literally giving you ownership, but I'm not giving you too many promises. And a quitclaim deed, I'm just giving you whatever type of interest. I'm just letting go. I'm quitting any type of claim or interest to the property. My name is Bennett. I'm not in it. So Sapna, did that help? Let me know if it helps. I'm hoping so. That would be great. Yay. This tiny ocean, you asked, would I use a quitclaim deed to relinquish an easement if I were dominant? I'm going to assume so. Is there a special deed for that, Seth? See, you're not here to help me for the brain farts. I mean, I would assume you could, but is there a special type of deed we use to release an easement? I feel like in the back of my head there is one, but also I just finished making a quiche because I filled somebody in. I fit somebody in for tutoring right before this. So let me know. We'll get Seth to make sure I'm not going crazy. I don't see why you couldn't use a quitclaim deed. Unless it's a release deed, but release deeds are kind of for mortgages. See, Seth, you're not here when I need you. And this is why he stays in the basement, y'all. Useless. Doesn't do dishes, doesn't wash windows, just sits in my basement, gathering dust. At least he gets rid of the bugs because that's all I feed him. All right, let me roll all. Let's see why. Hey, it's Tiffany joining us in the chat. Tiffany, what say you? Tiffany is another instructor, and maybe one of these days we'll get her to join in on the instructor party. But Tiff, am I going crazy? Is there a special type of deed for releasing an easement interest? Because that's right, it's not ownership. That's a good point. We're going to give them that one. But it is an interest. Even if it's not ownership, could you use a quitclaim deed? This might be a question for an attorney. Either way, those are the kind of details that 9 times out of 10 won't be on your test. So there you go. All right, I'm going to scroll all the way up to my next question. And somebody asked me, there's Sapna, there's Seth trying to escape the basement, estoppel. It would just be a release agreement. So it wouldn't be a release deed. It would be a release agreement. And yeah, but if you could use a quitclaim deed to get rid of an interest, why wouldn't you? And these are the conversations we as instructors have to be like, oh, we're so boring and we have no life. Let us discuss the different types of deeds and paperwork. Yeah, we love it. All right, you said, can I explain estoppel? I will be honest. Estoppel is one of my least favorite words. I don't even know why we teach it, but a lot of states want you to know about it. Now, estoppel you can see, and I find, in 2 different ways. Like you can get the estoppel paperwork, like if you're talking about purchasing, there's paperwork that's called estoppel, and that you use to see are the payments being made, if it was rented, things like that. But generally, when people are talking about estoppel, we're talking about agency and authority and agency. So, just to answer that question, so the dominant can't do anything with the easement. Yahara, no. So if you were, yes, that is correct. If you were the dominant easement, you can't do anything to stop the servient easement, the servient tenement holder from using your land. All right. So let's get back to estoppel. As an agent, you have the authority to do things. Like the fact that you can put a sign in somebody's yard is usually because you signed a listing agreement. And that listing agreement said, hey, you can list my property, and that includes putting a sign in my yard. I would call that express authority. You were expressly given the right and the permission, I should say, to put a sign up in somebody's yard. Well, sometimes you have the ability to do something or the authority to do something, and it's not because somebody said it, hey, you have the right to do this. It's because it's implied. You have implied. Your authority to do something comes from implication. Now, I'm trying to give you a good example of this, but this is the best I got. Imagine I'm your agent, and you have a beach house, and you tell me, hey, Candace, I need you to air out the house every night. So at night, I need you to go open the windows. I need you to open the windows, and then in the morning, close them so you don't heat all the outside or cool all the outside because it's summertime. You gave me express authority to mess with the windows. It's implied in order to open and close them and lock them that I'm going to have to go inside. So you didn't tell me expressly I had the authority to go in. You just did it. It's implied. I can go inside to lock the windows. Right? Then you can have apparent authority, and I'm going to kind of lump that into estoppel. The doctrine of estoppel attaches to apparent authority. What if I'm your agent And you said, Candace, you didn't say, Candace, you can do this or that or this or that. But I was doing it, you knew it, and you didn't stop me. Because we're not attorneys, if you can understand that apparent authority is, well, apparently I have the authority to do it because you're letting me do it. That would be, I have the authority to do it, apparently, apparent authority. But now you've been letting me do this thing, and all of a sudden I screw it up. Knowing me, I'm probably going to screw it up. It probably involves chocolate or cats, or I got sleepy. I don't know. Ooh, or there was an episode of Grey's Anatomy. One of those things interrupted me, squirrel, and I was like, oh, I messed it up. Now I've messed something up, and you want to come back and be like, oh no, I'm not taking blame. I am not taking the blame for this. I am not liable for what Candace did. She is not my agent. I did not give her the authority to do that. The doctrine of estoppel says, and this is if something went wrong, you took me to court and we were, we each had attorneys and we're each saying our side, doing our bit. There's this doctrine that says, hey, if you knew that this was going on, you let it continue. You can't all of a sudden just change your mind and be like, no. Everything you were doing, you let it happen. Those actions and that not stopping it means you were okay with it. So the doctrine of estoppel means, in a very loose way, you can't just go back on something you've already said or not even expressly said or done, but you can't just change your mind after you let something happen. Does that help? Estoppel, apparent authority, I think, is one of those things where, you get it as a vocab word, but I don't know how often it happens. No. Everything you were doing, or just give us an echo, man. I let you out the basement, and this is what you do.
Hey, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, there was such a delay. I was listening to it. You're talking about something different here than you're talking about on my phone. I'm just trying to figure my life out.
Guys, this is why we don't let Seth out the basement. Everybody say, "Hey, Seth."
I don't even know what year it is. What year is it?
It's 2020.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't miss the election.
And also, you might want to get some vaccines or some masks or something. So, guys, Seth is
right,
here.
it's 2020.
And you
official. I made it.
Why you were really late?
Because I had to go get my oil changed in Raleigh and got caught in the 5 o'clock traffic with an accident. That's why.
Don't believe it, y'all. That beard means he's really Santa Claus, and he was coming back from the North Pole and didn't even bring me anything.
I was making toys.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. You have anything to add while I scroll for our next question? I was talking about apparent authority, estoppel, deeds. And I got what you were saying about the easement, but you could use a quitclaim deed to get rid of an interest and not ownership. So couldn't you? But that was us being nerdy.
But it's technically a deed, and so it's transferring an ownership interest. I mean, typically I've seen them as just a release agreement is what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is basically foregoing an interest. It's just not an ownership interest. So, I mean, I guess, and once again, like you said, that's an attorney question, and it's probably way more in depth than you would ever see on any licensing exam.
I know. All right. Well, then I'm going to hit you with the next question. William is asking, what is a sandwich lease?
A sandwich lease.
We don't really use that word a lot in North
Carolina. Bridge loan? Or no, a sandwich lease? Hold on.
Sandwich lease. Mm-hmm. See,
sandwich lease.
Guys, and this
I don't know about you, but I like to eat my sandwich, not lease it, okay? I don't want to give it back to anybody.
Sir, see, back in the basement you go. So, guys, I'm going to give this as a perfect example. Seth has been teaching forever in our state. And in my state, if you were teaching or a student, sandwich lease is not a word that I go over a lot. However, in other states, it is all over your syllabi. So let's see. Can you tell Seth what a sandwich lease is? Who can, we already stumped the instructor. Who can tell Seth what a sandwich lease is?
Excuse me, ma'am. Roast beef, 6 months. You got to bring it back, okay? Just really reasonable price.
Yeah,
ham on rye, 4 months.
This tiny ocean has it. It's about subletting. Think of subletting.
Oh,
so a sandwich lease is just a situation where you have a lease within a lease.
So it's called a sandwich lease because you've got the relationship between landlord or lessor and lessee, but
Yep,
then there's this secondary relationship between the lessee, who's now the lessor, and the other lessee.
exactly.
And so this person has to pay the primary tenant or the primary renter, and then that person turns around and pays the actual landlord. And so it's a sandwich lease because there are three parties and you are sandwiched into the middle. See, I can figure this out. You give me a little context clues. I'm glad that I don't have to give my ham sandwich back. That's so that, of course, that comes into play with a lot of the contract conversations as well, right? Because with
Hmm.
contracts, a lease is a type of contract, and there is novations, which is a substitution of contract, and then there is an assignment, which is changing the parties of a contract. And so a sublease is kind of a type of assignment. And then the real big differentiation is, are we absolving the primary lessee of their responsibilities, or are we leaving them in a secondary position? In a sublease, or this newly found sandwich lease that I just learned about today, they would maintain a full secondary liability. If the subletter doesn't pay, they're on the hook for paying because they have not released any liability from them. They're still there on the hook. So
So, you know what I'm going to say to all that? This is why, guys, you should make a list of synonyms. Make a list of synonyms because Seth and I are in North Carolina. Can either of us guarantee you're not going to see the word sandwich lease on a national exam? No. But I know you know what subletting is. I know you know what that word means in general. I would hate to see you get it wrong simply because it was a synonym. And there are so many synonyms. Are there not, Seth? Like
there
ridiculous
are.
amounts.
And so, since we're speaking about sandwiches and food, I always like to tell my students that their new favorite breakfast cereal in class is Synonym Toast Crunch. We make you eat that every single day. Don't you judge me. It's creative, and you're
Nope,
welcome.
nope, nope. You get fired for that
No, I just got
one. You got
deleted.
he gets
Synonym Toast Crunch. Eat it, like it. Best cereal ever.
Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. He was not authorized to
AKA,
tell that bad dad
also known
joke,
as,
cinnamon
I
toast
thought it
crunch.
was cute.
All
Like,
right. I'm
I'm
going to
going
let you
back to the
take the next
basement.
one too, since you were late. Tell
Okay.
the people what you know about a blanket mortgage.
Woo, blanket mortgage. Now that one I do know. Folks, when we're dealing with different types of mortgages, blanket loan, blanket mortgage, package loans, all these things, these are more or less, for a lack of a better word, they're vocabulary. They're not going to be crazy in-depth questions. You just really need to know what they are. And so the way that I like to articulate this, I want you to picture if you took the biggest blanket in your house and you just tossed it across your living room. It's going to land on a couple of things simultaneously, right? Your couch, your cat, your kids, your chair, it's going to hit a couple things. And so just like your blanket's going to hit a couple of things, a blanket mortgage is designed to purchase multiple things. It is very commonly used by developers if they're purchasing parcel A and parcel B. So that would be a blanket mortgage. If you are purchasing, as a builder, a set of lots is what we call a takedown. So if you're buying like 6 lots from the developer as a builder, that would be a blanket mortgage because you're purchasing not just one, but all 5 or 6, however many lots you're purchasing in one fell swoop. So they're all going to be simultaneous collateral for that loan. And that's all a blanket mortgage is. A loan designed to purchase multiple pieces of property simultaneously.
Yeah, I love it. He's
Mm,
right.
yeah.
Don't tell him that too much, though. All right, we're going to keep on rolling. And Caroline, you asked a while back, can I explain a prepayment penalty? Yes. Am I going to? No. Next question. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, I'm going to explain it. So, we know if we're talking about a prepayment penalty, we're probably talking about the clauses that are often found in a promissory note. Because we often say, I'm going to go to the bank and get a mortgage. But we know the truth around here. You go to the bank to get money. In exchange, you give them a promissory note, that IOU that says you're going to pay them back, and you give them another document, whether it's either a mortgage or a deed of trust, that creates the property as collateral, sets it up as collateral. But let's go back to that promissory note. Often you are tested on 3 very common clauses you find in a promissory note. There's going to be the due on sale clause or the alienation clause, the prepayment penalty, and the one that I can't think of off the top of my head. Help me here, Seth. Where is it going? Why? Due on sale, Prepayment. It's right
And
there.
don't you
Don't.
hate that when you know like absolutely everything, and then like you just like completely freeze up? Hold on.
Oh, you froze up too. It's a prepayment, due on sale, and acceleration clause.
Acceleration.
You are no help.
Acceleration.
Acceleration
I
clause.
thought of it at the same time you
No.
did. Acceleration.
Acceleration clause. You know what? You're going back in
You
the
put
basement
us
if you're not going to help
on
me
the
here.
spot.
So, acceleration clause. The prepayment penalty is all because the bank is greedy. Guys, banks don't make loans to us because they like us or because they're nice. It's because they make a crap ton. That is the literal measurement. A crap ton of money if you keep a loan for 30 years. But if you don't keep the loan for 30 years, they don't make quite as much money. Are we doing glasses? Did I miss that memo?
Yeah, Avi.
But if, oh, that's terrible glare. No, we're not. But if you don't keep the loan for 30 years, they make less money. So let's say you borrowed $250,000 from the bank. By the time you pay back that money in 30 years, they would have gotten back their original $250,000 plus maybe another $350 in interest. If you only keep that loan for 5 years, maybe they only made $50,000 in interest instead of $350,000 in interest. They're not cool with that. So a prepayment penalty says, hey, borrower, if you prepay this loan before a certain date, before we've made X amount of money, then you need to write us a check because we're broke and we really, really need the money. No, they're just greedy. But a prepayment penalty is exactly what it sounds like. You're being penalized for paying off the loan early because the bank simply isn't making as much money as they could have if you had paid for all 30 years, or at least kept it a little longer. Now, Seth, Mr. Useless, maybe that's your new name instead of Mr. Basement, you want to talk to them about, really quickly, about acceleration and alienation clauses?
Yeah. So the other two main ones that we're talking about, acceleration, folks, this is one of those rare things that's actually helpful if you think about what the word means. Okay. Acceleration is to speed up. And so basically, you have made a set of promises because a promissory note is like a set, type of contract as well. You made a set of promises to the bank that you're going to make your payments on time, that you weren't going to do anything to destroy the property, that you're going to, inform them before you make major modifications. And if you fail in those promises, they say the deal's off. You had 30 years to pay us, but because you screwed up, we are accelerating the maturity of your loan payoff. You owe us all of our money now because you didn't uphold your end of the bargain. So that is called an acceleration clause. You did have 30 years, but because you did something and you screwed up, now you've got to pay it off. Okay. The other one, the alienation clause, AKA the synonym toast crunch. Okay. Now, also known as alienation clause, the due on sale clause mean the exact same thing. Alienation is to remove yourself from the ownership. So we talk about that a lot in the deed section. So alienation, due on sale, if you're selling it to somebody else, if you're removing yourself from the ownership, either way, it gets triggered. It's the same clause, two different cutesy names. So when you sell the property to somebody else and you are no longer the deeded owner, they say, okay, you now have to pay us the full balance. And so that gets put into a loan to make it not assumable. That means that you cannot let somebody else take over your loan payment. And so it is a very important thing to note that the due on sale clause, also called an alienation clause, and the prepayment penalty clause are prohibited in all of your government-backed loans. FHA, VA, and USDA loans cannot have a due on sale clause, and they cannot have a prepayment penalty clause. They are always assumable. Government-backed loans are always assumable. Of course, there's ramifications there. And then, of course, prepayment penalties are not allowed in those either. So there you go.
All right, guys, is this RGW person bothering us? Do I need to kick this person out?
Who? What? Huh?
I think there's somebody in the chat that I need to get rid of. If there's somebody I need to get rid of in the chat, guys, just let me know. I got nothing. I can't tell by their things. But yes, thank you. I just want to make sure if you all are being bothered by somebody, if I need to moderate them, if I need to kick them out, please let me know. All right, so I'm going to keep on rolling. And the next question, was deed of trust. And I think I mentioned it, or maybe Seth, you mentioned it, but I said deed of trust. And I said trust deed or deed of trust, once again, synonyms. I tend to say deed of trust, trust deed, same thing. And it's when we're talking about borrowing money and using the house or the real estate as collateral. In some states, your lien theory states you use a mortgage where the bank only puts a lien on your property. You still own the house, like in states like Florida. But in other states like North Cackalack, North Carolina, we are a title theory state where we use a deed of trust. And the easiest way to understand it is a trust deed or deed of trust is like when you have a car loan. If any of you all have had a car loan, you know that's not your car while there's a loan. While you're paying off that loan, that is the bank's car. Same concept, but with houses. And title theory states, like North Carolina, it is going to be, hey, I got the title from a general warranty deed, and now I'm turning around and giving legal title to a trustee who's holding the title to my home in a trust on behalf of the bank. So it's a deed. It's transferring legal title from me, the new owner, to the trustee on behalf of the bank. The bank now has legal title the same way when you have a car loan, the bank has title to your car. And what I get is called equitable title. The rate, yes. Equitable title.
Wait, you have a rewind button? Do you have a mute one too?
Do you really want to play that game? Do I have a mute button?
No, I'm kidding. You do have a mute button. You can mute me anytime. Okay, no.
What? Y'all heard that right? You heard that. So the equitable, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore, Seth. Equitable title is the right to claim title later. After you finish paying off the loan, the bank / trustee has to give title back to you. But fancy word, let's see if we can play Stump the Seth once again. Oh, Seth the Stump. Kind of like that. AKA Santa Claus over here. Mm-hmm. What do we call it when you use something, when you pledge something as collateral, but you don't give up possession? And if you all know the answer and Seth doesn't, that'd be cool too. There's a word that starts with
hypothecation.
You know what? You didn't even give them a chance to win it. Hypothecation. That is
well, I mean,
correct.
It's not really fair because they're on a lag. I would have had to wait like a minute and a half because by the time that like they're hearing it, trust me, I was listening to you live when I walked in and joined live. So there's a lag.
We understand you're not good for much longer than a minute. Say it.
Talk to my doctor about it, okay?
It is real estate after dark, people.
Oh my God! There you go. Look, and I'm so sorry. I don't want to butcher your name. Estanislao had it. Sarah had it. Yahara. Mm-hmm. The tiny ocean. I don't know your real name. They all knew it. That's fantastic.
Of course they know it. My gang knows it. That is why we are #Good Job Gang, and you know what that means.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. TOODJOB. Good job. Good job.
Did you miss that beat? Don't be a cliche, Seth. Did you miss the beat? Don't be
Look,
a cliche.
Sarah sided with me, okay? She typed it before she ever heard me say it because of the way that it was lagging. So I knew that, I would have had to wait a hot minute for them to.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see what our next question is. Do you see it? Deed of trust. Yay, blanket mortgage, sublet. We're talking about it. Ooh, subject and comparable. Or comparable. Okay. Subject and comparable. So Mary is asking about subject and comparable. You want to take that?
Yeah. Subject and comparable. Obviously, this falls into real property valuations discussions. And it is very important to know the different ways that we could potentially value a property. Now, of course, when I say value, we're talking about an appraiser, but a real estate broker has the right to do a very similar thing. And as long as it's not something crazy in other states, we typically call those CMAs, which is a comparative market analysis, or a BPO, which is a broker price opinion. And so when we do it as real estate brokers, we are We are trying to determine a probable sales price for our clients. Okay. And so the really important piece is for residential real estate, we're typically utilizing what we call the sales comparison approach to real property valuations. Because if I asked you folks to guess how tall I am, you'd have no idea. I'm not standing up. You would have to take a shot in the dark. If I asked you to tell me what a house was worth in Raleigh, North Carolina, especially you being in different states, you would have to take a shot in the dark. You don't have any clue. But if I told you that I was standing, if I was like standing next to the wall and I told you that this cat thing was like 6 feet and I was like right below it, that would be a really good basis of comparison for you to understand that I'm not 6 feet tall. And so this is the whole premise behind a comparative market analysis. We look at past sales that we call comparables, or comps for short. We know this home just sold recently for $300,000. And what I want to determine is what this other home that I'm about to list could sell for. We call that the subject property, the one we're trying to decide. And so when we look at our subject property, okay, the subject property is a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. I can look at a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house and it's okay, that's not as good. And so the whole idea is we make adjustments to the comparable property that we know what it sold for. And we say, okay, it was this, but what would it have probably sold for if it had been identical to our subject property? Okay. And so if we've got our comparable, we know what it sold for, and it's not as good, we use this concept of inferior versus superior. If it is inferior to our subject property, we need to add value, bring it up, say, if it was as good as our subject property, what do we think it would have sold for? If our subject property, right, if our, well, I'm changing hands here because I'm mirrored, so I'm like freaking out. If comp was better than, superior than our subject property, right, 5-bedroom, 4-bath versus only a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, well, we have to subtract value. And we have to say, okay, well, this house was better than our subject property and it sold here. So what would it probably have sold for if it had been identical to our subject property? So that's the whole premise of these comparative market analysis. Taking a look at the comparables, and you only ever make adjustments to the comparable properties that you know what they sold for, and you're trying to adjust them to be equal to your subject property. And once you do this with at least 3 comps in most jurisdictions, you would say, okay, well, this is a probable range of where we could potentially sell this subject property. Does that make sense? Does that help? I don't know how different they get in other states.
Whoop.
Whoop.
There we go. Now you can have.
There
your
we go.
moment.
All right. I'm back on the side I like. This is my better half. This is the best. This is my good
Do
side.
you have a good side at all, though? That's the question.
No, I don't think so.
Mm.
And I'm mirrored too, so I don't even know which side that is because it's like weird because I'm not like used to.
Bless your little heart. Just
I
bless
know.
your little
I
heart.
know. I'm
So
sorry.
somebody did ask a question about that a second ago. Never make any deductions or additions to the subject property. Correct. When you are doing this math, you don't have a price for a subject property to touch. You know how much the comp is, and you're making adjustments to that sold comparable price to come up with a price. So the house had 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, and it sold for $500,000. But if it had been 6 bedrooms, 3 baths, it would have sold for $540,000. So you're changing the price of the comp. Never the price touch the number on a subject. Or I like to teach it as CIA CBS.
What did you just call me?
I said CBS. So that stands for if the comp is inferior, you add value to the comp. And if the comp is better, you subtract value from the comp. Right?
I can get with that.
So, before we go to our next question, Seth, I wanted to have this conversation with you because even though our viewers aren't licensed yet, what was the crazy thing that happened to one of the agents in our state that I called you yesterday all up in? Can you believe it? Mr. Basement Dweller, tell them loosely, just in general, what happened.
Folks, you all understand when you get your license and you start endeavoring into your real estate career that if you are working with buyers and sellers, when you work with buyers, you go to homes and you show them homes that they may potentially be interested in buying. That includes homes that are occupied. And so we use a scheduling system. Depending on your state, it's a different name. And you basically set it up. The seller knows you're coming, and then you have a lockbox code and you get in there. So in our state, there was an agent who went to a showing, and when she opened the door to this showing, she found a person unconscious on the floor.
Semi-conscious. I'll give her semi-conscious.
Semi-conscious on the floor. And apparently, the way that it was articulated, and I remember when this is a news story, apparently she ran out, freaked out, left, and
Took the buyers with her, though.
She took the buyers with her, and she did not make any communications about it until the next morning when she left feedback on the property. She didn't call the listing agent. She didn't reach out to anybody. She didn't call 911. Come to find out, it was the owner of the property having a medical emergency, and later somebody else found them. By then, it was too late. The paramedics got them, took them to the hospital, and they later died. And so this woman was charged with a disciplinary action for failure to act reasonably in a capacity that endangered the public because she just walked out on this poor, I don't know if it was man or woman, this poor homeowner who was in a medical crisis, and she just walked away. I didn't tell anybody until the next day.
When I say my floor hit the jaw, my floor hit
the jaw. She passed out. That's how crazy it was. And so the floor hit her jaw. Candace, not this poor person at the medical house. Candace, the floor hit the jaw. And she doesn't have a beard to cushion it. I would have been fine.
I got plenty of padding around here. Plenty of padding. But when I tell y'all my jaw hit the floor, I bring this up not to shame, okay, maybe to shame that agent just a little bit, but to say, guys, this test isn't a test of your abilities, of whether you're going to make a great agent or a bad agent, whether you're going to be successful or you're going to be a failure. There are plenty of people who pass this test who are not successful, plenty of people who pass this test and are successful, and some of those people who are successful shouldn't be, or maybe they need to let their license go. This is just the baby step. And I know it seems like you all are studying, and there's so much. That's what I heard a lot today in my tutoring sessions. Oh, it's just a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. It is a lot, and it can be worth it. But also, you're going to have to make some ethical decisions. You're going to have to know how to respond to lots of situations. So let's say, given a word that we talked about today, when you have somebody with an easement who's looking at you and says, hey, I no longer want to use an easement to cross this person's property. What do I do? The answer is call an attorney, but you're learning about words like easements and that the fact that it could be a deed or a release agreement, or it could be something. The fact that you even know that things exist like easements, that's the point of this class. We want to make sure that you are more competent than that incompetent person when you're dealing with the public. We're trying to make sure you stay out of real estate jail. Just saying. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think that was great.
Okay. Well, I see it on my screen, and I don't know if it's the next one, but I'm going to do it. Void and voidable. Sarah said it's opened her eyes to who she'll be working alongside.
We say the same thing every single day. We do.
I don't know. Maybe one of these times we do this, Seth, we'll talk about how to get started. How do they make that jump from I just finished my test to I need to start selling? I don't know.
Right.
Let us know, guys. Is that what you want? Do you want us to do sometimes? Like, what do you do once you get started? I don't know. But
Yeah,
void and voidable, especially pertaining to a minor or intoxicated person.
I like it.
You like what?
I like void versus voidable. You want me to talk about it, or you want to talk about it?
You seem really excited to talk about it.
I am very excited.
On you, okay? Crazy.
Okay. I'm very excited. So here's a question, and I'm looking right at it. Can you go over void and voidable, especially pertaining to a minor or intoxicated person? I have seen that question come up, okay? And so we talked about this a little bit in the last session. Candace talked about void and gave some different examples. But, folks, you have to understand that, voidable and void have this huge difference, okay? Voidable means one person basically has the right to get out of the contract, but it's presumably enforceable on the other. Void means it has no legal standing whatsoever. There's no contract. It's not enforceable. Nobody can be upheld to it. For lack of a better way of saying it, that's the most simplistic way of saying it. So the best examples of a void contract, somebody who has been declared mentally incompetent by a court of competent jurisdiction, which is a weird way to say it, but that's what it means. So Britney Spears, when she was in her conservatorship, she did not have the legal capacity to contract. If she would have signed an agreement to sell her multi-million-dollar mansion, it would have been void, no legal standing. But voidable, as you're mentioning, fall into a different category, because assuming that one person was of sound mind, right, mentally competent, 18 sane and sober is the best way to say it, right? Legal capacity to contract, 18 sane and sober. And so if one person signed that contract, any contract, as 18 sane and sober, and the other person was a minor or intoxicated, that is what we would call a voidable contract. Now, let me explain why. A minor does not have the ability to make full decisions yet. They cannot be held accountable for all their decisions from a legal point of view. Can a minor sign a contract to purchase property? Sure. If you remember Justin Bieber back when he was 12, if he came up to me and he said, Seth, I want to buy your house for $6 million. I said, you got it, little man. I'm going to sign that contract. I'm going to roll the dice that 12-year-old Justin Bieber is going to buy my house. But because Justin Bieber was not an adult, could he have gone to court to potentially get out of it? Because he's like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I don't want to do that. Sure, he could have. That makes it voidable. The intoxicated one is, drunk as a skunk, high as a kite, are both voidable. And let me tell you why it's not void. Let's picture you being a real estate agent and you have a client who is sitting by the pool on a Saturday sipping Mai Tais, living her best life, okay? And she's scrolling Zillow by the pool and she finds a house that she loves and she picks up the phone, she calls you, she says, I want to see this home. And you take her to go see it. And Lord knows this woman can handle her liquor, all right? And so you take her to see the house, she loves it, she puts in an offer and she gets under contract. Folks, we're not going to invalidate that agreement because she had a Mai Tai or two. But here's the thing you have to understand.
You are
Folks,
real close to the camera.
I am, because I got a point here. Have you folks ever had a night where you had a few too many drinkies and you wake up the next morning and you say, oh my Lord, I did what? And that's the point. We're not going to invalidate the agreement just because you had a drink or two, but we all know there's two different types of drinks. There's going out for drinks, remembering everything you did, and you're fine the next day. There's going out for drinks, and you're like, oh my God, I did what? There's videos of me dancing with who? Right? And that's why we don't automatically invalidate it. But if you could prove that you were not of sound mind, you bear the burden of proof under a court circumstance. So when you say, oh, no, I had like 17 drinks, the bartender knows I was betting people that I could do a handstand, right? You'd have witness testimonial. You could potentially get out of a contract if you were under that level of influence, because nobody can hold you into a contract if you were 3 sheets to the wind. But a beer or two, bear the burden of proof. So it's not automatically void because you may have been fully aware of what you wanted to do. Interesting side note, contracts fall into this mold, so do deeds. And so it used to be once upon a time that closing attorneys would have closings at the bar because it was a celebration and everybody would drink. But the rules were no drinkies until everybody signs their paperwork, and then they'd pop champagne or take a shot or, whatever. That was a while ago that happened, to the extent that I've been told stories from more long-term agents than myself. Okay. I know I look old and like Santa Claus, but
let's just get over it. So I want to say a couple things. First, about drinks. Has everybody discovered these reusable, this is a solo cup. It's a ball, but it's aluminum, so it's recyclable. These things are great. And they keep your water so much colder.
Are they good for beer pong?
Oh my God, that would make the best noise with beer pong.
Yeah, but I feel like it would bounce more.
Do you hear?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it would bounce more.
It would bounce more. Okay, first of all. Second, remember, guys, when he's telling you that story about people doing closings in bars, we're in a state where we have attorneys do closings.
Oh, yeah.
Some states are escrows, and then, everybody kind of does their own thing, and the escrow agent lets everybody know when it's done. So that feels a little different. Third, and this is something this Tiny Ocean pointed out, what he said about being a minor and voidable does not count in California. You know California has to be backwards. Y'all do your own thing. In California, it is void. A minor signs a contract, California, void. Void, 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 void. In California, 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 California. So it's not that you're wrong if you're in California. I mean, he is wrong. He is wrong, wrong,
Man,
wrong, all
forget
day
California.
long.
I'm gonna flip my table. Forget
Flip your table.
California.
That's your mess
I
in
think
your
it makes
house.
me
You
look
flip it.
stupid up
Don't
here.
flip tables in my
Lord.
basement, though. California, void, minor. Everybody else, voidable. Just okay. He's elbowing the table. Yeah, Tiffany said, just don't put them in the dishwasher. I know the microwave, but why not the dishwasher, Tiffany?
Maybe it's super thin. It'll just be
I
really hot
mean,
when you pull it out. I don't know.
I don't
We
know.
need to
Does
learn.
it
We need to learn all the
melt?
secrets.
I need to know. You know, I want to put this in my dishwasher now. You know, I do, y'all. All right. So we missed a question, so I want to talk about it. Somebody asked about color of title and adverse possession. Now, for me, when I talk about color of title and cloud on title, I kind of throw them in the same category. Color of title, cloud on title. Do you do the same thing, Seth?
Color of title and adverse possession. That's the only place I really throw it
Yeah.
in.
Color of title, cloud on title. It just means there's something wrong with the title. It's dirty. So let's say I get a property from Seth. We already know he's shady. So there could be somebody making liens or claims or anything kind of claim or something's wrong with the title while Seth had it. That is cloud or color on title when there's something dirtying up the title. Oh, it takes the coating off. Oh, good to know. Thank you, Tiffany. So that is cloud or color on title. Now, you asked about adverse possession, and it does have something to do with adverse possession. And it's this idea of what you have to prove in order to make adverse possession stick. Well, first, what is adverse possession? It is the idea that if I use Seth's land for long enough, let's say we're neighbors, kind of like you see that line. So imagine, oh, wrong arm. There we go. Imagine I build something in his space, like, right? Can we touch hands?
High five.
High five.
I mean, it probably looks completely opposite on their screen, so
I
we look
know.
so
I don't know.
stupid
We
because
look
it's like
crazy.
one
We
this
look like,
way.
"Arr."
I don't know.
Anyway, I built something that a fence. Okay, he is still trapped in the basement. Thank you, R. Kelly. Are you in the closet? Are you trapped in the closet, R. Kelly? So imagine I put this fence around. Y'all, you see why he's in the basement now? You see. Mm-mm.
All right,
Let's
keep
say
going with it. This is a very good question. This is very important.
Serious, Seth. So, I build a fence in my yard, but I accidentally go into Seth's yard. And I mean, I take about 200 square feet of his yard because my contractor wasn't paying attention and went over the property line. 200 square feet, y'all, that's a good amount of space. Well, the truth is, if I start taking care of that part of his yard that I fenced in, I'm the one using it. Eventually, maybe decades down the road, he wants to sell. And he's like, hey, Candace, I noticed you built on my yard. I need you to take it down so I can sell the house. I could be like, no. I've been doing this, and this is my yard now. Now, most people would be like, that's not how it works. But the truth is, that's exactly how it works. Adverse possession is the idea in that scenario. I could go to a judge and be like, hey, judge, I have met the qualifications that are listed right here, and you should grant me ownership of this property that I've been using of Seth's because I met the qualifications. And if I truly meet those qualifications, the judge will be like, once again, it sucks to be Seth. Candace, that's your property now. Now, what are those qualifications? I tend to teach it as either high ocean or ocean. I'm going to go with ocean because it's faster. If you want to think about high ocean, just know the H is for hostile, the I is for intentional. But if we're going with ocean, O stands for open. The use had to be open. I had to use the property, in broad daylight. Everybody knew I was using it. I wasn't only doing it at night with a candle while nobody's watching. We're no creeping on the property. Like, I'm openly using it. The C is for continuous. Every state is going to have their amount of time that says, Candace, you have to prove that you used this property for this amount of time. and it needs to be me. The use needs to be continuous. It needs to be exclusive. It has to be me, not me and my neighbors and my neighbor's neighbor and all these things. Like, unless the owners changed hand, it needs to be me that's using exclusive. It needs to be adverse. I didn't get Seth's permission. If at one point we had a text message 20 years ago, yeah, texts have been around that long, 20 years ago, where he said, yeah, Candace, go ahead. You can fence in the backyard for a couple years. We'll just take it down later. My claim for adverse possession, because he gave me permission, it had to be adverse. I never asked for permission. And then the N stands for notorious. It had to be well known. So if I can prove that my use was open, continuous, exclusive, adverse, and notorious, then the judge is going to grant me ownership of that property that I am using. Wait, and Maria. Somebody said hi. I'm like, who came? Maria came. Hi, Maria. Whoever's in the chat. Somebody said, hey, Maria. So, hi. All right, I think that's it. Oh, and you answered the emancipation question. Anything else? Can you believe it's almost 7 again?
I mean, I was late, so there's that. But...
Well, back in the basement you go, so I shouldn't let you out. Are there any last... I mean, I know there were lots of questions that we didn't get to. I know, Antoinette, I didn't mean to skip your question, but is there another short one? You know what? I want to take the time to say this because some of my people, yay, you've come to different classes and webinars that we do. But I want to remind people that what we do here, we do it for fun and we want you to pass the test. But one other thing you need to know about passing this test is you need to have some money set aside before you can go out and start selling houses and real estate. This is not pass the test, sell a house 2 weeks later. You need to have some money set aside. And sometimes I think people are not told by their pre-licensing teachers or people that are already in the business that we're talking not just like $500, that this could be thousands of dollars that you have to put out there before you even get started. So, Seth, do you usually tell your students this?
I do, but after that, let me answer a question because I don't want to. We missed one from Yahira, and I don't want to miss it.
Okay.
You want me to go and do it?
Answer my thing first and then answer her question.
You do have to have money put aside, and you've got to know what the transition looks like too. I think it's very important. Some people have funds set aside and they quit their other jobs or other things cold turkey and they dive right into it. That's not wrong as long as that's your financial situation. Some of us don't have the ability to do that. And so you may need to make modifications to be successful in real estate. When I got into the business, I was a restaurant manager. I was working 70 hours a week. There was no way I could have become a successful real estate agent at that point. So I quit as a GM, but I converted to, I'd been managing restaurants. I went to a restaurant as a bartender and a server and worked at night to support myself while I did real estate full time. So there are costs involved. It is one of the cheapest businesses technically that you'll ever start, but it's still not cheap between realtor dues, TMLS dues, affiliation and all that stuff. So just make sure that you know what that transition looks like. And it's different for everybody. One last note.
Wait. Christina
Uber
said, even if you have a broker working with you. Yes, your broker, think of like you being a teacher at a school and your broker is the principal. Just because you have a broker doesn't mean that principal, that broker is going to pay for pins for your office or, if you want special decorations up. That's all on you as the agent. So working with the broker, affiliating with the broker is awesome, but there are still costs that you're going to incur. Now, Seth, go for it.
Yes. Yahira, thank you for circling back around because we did miss your question. So the question is in regard to Regulation Z versus RESPA. And so let me help you out with the clarification because you're using a regulation terminology and you're using the legal name of two different things. Regulation Z is also known as the Truth in Lending Act. Okay. Regulation X is also known as RESPA. So you got to make sure you differentiate them. There are so many different laws and rules that have these silly little regulations attached to them. If you want to get technical, Fair Housing has a regulation. The ECOA, Equal Credit Opportunity Act, has a regulation. So Regulation Z is TILA, the Truth in Lending Act. And Regulation Z basically says, well, folks, believe it or not, credit is a relatively newer concept. And so a lot of people didn't understand it and they've gotten themselves in bad ways. And so there's legislation passed that says, okay, we need to tell people exactly what it costs to borrow money. And that's where TILA comes into play. So they've got to give you certain pieces of information. The best example I can give you of TILA is when you hear a car commercial on the radio and they say, you can buy a car for $1 down. Well, at the end of it, not all buyers will qualify, subject to credit approval, must have a minimum payment of something, credit interest. Like they go into all these different disclosures. So Regulation Z in the Truth in Lending Act deals with additional disclosures needed if they start giving you very specific loan terminologies. The amount of the down payment, the number of down payments, the amount of your payment, the interest charged, all of these things would trigger the need for additional disclosures. Now, that means that anytime you're borrowing money, TILA kicks in. RESPA, also known as Regulation X, is quite literally the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. Notice how it says real estate in it. RESPA only kicks in a real estate transaction where you are borrowing money for a residential or some related from a federally backed depository. If TILA applies to all loans and RESPA applies to all real estate loans, TILA and RESPA both apply to most real estate transactions because of these loans. Now, is TRID's national, right?
TRID is national.
Okay, and that's where we get into TRID, which is it's very inception-y. It's an acronym inside an acronym, the TILA RESPA Integrated Disclosure Rule. And so basically, as opposed to having certain disclosures under TILA and certain disclosures under RESPA for real estate transactions, we combine them into a standardized loan estimate and closing disclosure that meet the criteria for both for real estate transactions. The biggest thing to understand is that RESPA deals with real estate and also, has other things involved with it, like, the loan estimate has to be given within the 3 days of loan application. The closing disclosure has to be given at least 3 days prior to settlement. You have to be given the, borrowing money for your home loan toolkit or booklet, when you apply. And then there is also limits on escrow set by RESPA, and it also prohibits kickbacks from settlement service providers. So a real estate broker could not give or receive money from an attorney, a lender, and title insurance company, any of those. So RESPA is, say it again?
Kids, I teach it as young kids eat up boogers, glue, and dirt.
Is that the criteria?
If you're curious about what that is, shoot me an email. I'll give you a picture of. Are you picking boogers over there now, Seth? Is that what's going on when you go off camera?
Oh no, I'm reading my phone. I'm sorry. I forget that I'm only like halfway on the screen.
Seth is a booger picker.
Did I get it?
I don't care. But no, young kids eat up boogers, glue, and dirt. That's how I teach it. Email me if you need it. And I think you did a really good job. I know that it's 7:00, so it's time for us to go. So I want to say a couple things about things we saw in the chat. One, there is, and let me share my screen and kind of make it easier for you. There you go. Somebody asked about crash courses. We do, and by we, I mean me, I'm teaching a finance crash course this Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. That is 4 hours of me talking about nothing but finance. But if what you're wanting is national, then you can see I'll be doing that in March. I'll be doing a March national crash course. You can sign up on prepagent.com. So that makes it really easy for you to get that kind of information and, learn it. Second, I think you all should beg Maria to come on here with us. And Tiffany. I think you all should be like, come join the party. And really, if you
have candy.
Not Seth. Seth gets
Right?
candy in the basement.
Get in the back of the van. We got puppies. I lost my puppy. Come join us in the real estate educational platform.
One day I will tell you about how Tiffany and I actually got into somebody's van who had puppies.
Well,
strangers.
That'll be the class called What Not to Do.
What not to do.
Yeah.
But guys, if you need our help, you can tutor with me and Maria. You can reach out if you need to Seth or to Tiffany. We all have tutoring and classes. We all teach. So, and you don't have to stick with one of us. Maybe you want Seth if you want really long-winded explanation. I'm just kidding. If you want him to teach you something.
Very
I could do math.
thorough
Maria could do
explanation.
ABC. You can do all of us. One of us, but we are all here and
Maria, what color are you
ready
going, girl?
to support you. What did you say?
She said she's got dye in her head, otherwise she'd join us. I said, what color are you going, Maria?
She is dyeing her hair. Next time, maybe next week. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Popsicles in the basement. There you go.
We got no good common sense, guys. Clearly, getting your real estate license
That's
does
a Family
not
Guy reference. Remember the old guy? You like popsicles? Got a whole freezer full of celery. Or a whole freezer full of popsicles down in the cell. I can't do the whistle right now because I'm laughing too much. But the little old man is like, "We're
Can't wait
selling out PM wins."
Look, as soon as you're gonna make me go down the trail, I'm gonna say, "We all float down here." It's just
Oh, God,
Pennywise.
now we're getting into
Guys,
it.
we need to go. This is why we're gonna start a podcast, so just so you can listen to us talk about absolutely nothing related
If
to
it's
real
a
estate.
podcast, I'm bringing my tequila next time. Okay.
Okay. Okay,
gonna
you
sip
can
it
bring your tequila.
The whole time. That's what I'm gonna do.
Next time, purple. Hey. All right, guys. Thank you to Seth for being here again. I'm sure he'll be back because he likes getting out of the basement. Thank you to Maria and to Tiffany for showing up and helping me moderate in the chat. And thank you for all y'all for not calling the police on me to let Seth out of the basement. And for, you know what? Just doing this. Just being here, putting up with us as you try to pass this exam. Okay. So guys, we're gonna stop giving Seth camera time now. We will see you next time. Oh, don't forget, you got Monday nights with me and Maria via Zoom. You got Maria during the day for prep agent webinars. You've got me Tuesday and Wednesday for prep agent webinars. And you got me and the crazy person and maybe some other guests. You never know what it's going to be around here for our Thursday nights. Hope to see a lot of you all on Sunday for the finance. And I think that's it. Seth, any final last words? No, you have nothing left to
Tomorrow
say.
morning for breakfast, synonym toast crunch for everybody.
Oh my God. And on that note, we're done. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.